Okay, so we are going to start a project this week called your line project, and it's going to last all the way through Thanksgiving. It's a very big project. You've probably seen siblings do it before. You've seen things in the hallway. I'll give you more details on this on Wednesday, but just know what we're doing today and a little bit tomorrow. It's just kind of a mini version of it. And I'll reference what we're doing today and tomorrow many times when we actually start the project on Wednesday. So what you have in front of you is your notes page that should look like this, and we have a Christmas tree, and it says, how can we recreate the pine tree to the right in Desmos using our prior knowledge of linear functions? Well, if you remember from the marble slides activity, we learned that in Desmos you can type in equations, so like y equals 3x plus 4, and we can create lines on the screen, okay? And we know that these two numbers, the 3 is the m, the slope, and the 4 is the b, the y-intercept, we know that they have meaning, and that depending on the numbers we put in, the steeper it's going to be, the translated up or down, we know what all these numbers mean. So what we want to do is we want to recreate this Christmas tree in Desmos, okay? What we're going to need to do that is the equations of each of the lines that are shown. Well, what we need to do first, before we do anything else, is kind of set up some organizational things. And you're going to do these same steps for your project, but again, we're going to do them today on a smaller scale for this, this pine tree. The first thing you need is to have Desmos on your iPad, okay? When we did this the other day, we went to student.desmos.com. You are not going to do that today. You are actually going to either open up Desmos in a browser or download the app. I would suggest downloading the app. It should be in self-service. You'll just type in Desmos. It should be a green little square. They do have a blue version that's for testing. You don't need that one. The green Desmos version. So you may want to pause this so you can go ahead and download that app and get ready for that. I will say, if you haven't paused yet, that's okay. I will say that you, it'll give you the option to log in, and you want to log in with Google, your Gmail account that you have with the district, because we're going to be saving a lot of things to our account, and you don't need to create your own account here. So log in with Google once you've downloaded it. Okay, save or stop the video now so you can go do that. Okay, so once you have downloaded the app, you should have the just a blank screen in front of you like this. But what you also should have is your name up in the corner, your login or something like this, and then the words Untitled Graph right here. If you click these little bars right here, you should see probably nothing in your account unless you've done something previously, but this is where all of your saved graphs will be. So you can see I have all these different things that I've saved in the past that I've been working with. You want to save the one that we're working on today. So if you already have one, you're good, but you also always have the option of creating a new blank graph right here. But I'm going to click back over here where it says Untitled Graph. Click on that and go ahead and name this Pine Tree Example so that you can go back and reference it, because we're going to use this again tomorrow. Click Save, and the name should stay right there, okay? I know that today's going to be kind of hard because you're having to jump between Desmos and this video, and I wish I could be there to do this in person, but I can't, so I totally get that this is actually kind of frustrating to flip back and forth. But anyways, I'm always going to, kind of pause in between so that you have a chance to stop, go do one thing before you come back to the video. So right now you're going into your Desmos account, saving your current graph as Pine Tree Example. Okay, so what you should have is, again, a blank graph. If you have something over here, you can just X things out to make them disappear. That's no big deal. But we will eventually have a big old list of lines here that will create our little pine tree, our Christmas tree. So don't worry about Desmos for now. Go back to your paper. Okay. In order for us to put these into Desmos, we need them to look like y equals mx plus b. We need slope-intercept form. So we need to figure out what is slope-intercept form of each of these lines, right? Well, on this paper, you have a table already filled out. It says line number, given information, work/equations, and domain and range. We need to figure out each of these things for these lines in order to put them into the program, right? So I'm actually going to pause really fast and switch over to Smart so that I can better write on this with you. So give me just a second. This won't be a second to you because the video pauses, but you know what I mean. Give me 1 second. Okay, that was probably literally 1 second in your mind. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to go find line number 1, because this is the information that we're going to fill out in this region right here in this table. Ooh, you can't see my mouse, but Line 1, the given information, the work equations, we need to fill that out. But they've labeled something as line 1 that we cannot see. So we need to first start by just numbering our lines. And I'm going to do that by just writing a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So go ahead and do that now. Number each of your lines on your paper. Sorry, I'm checking something. Okay, good. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to now actually start with line number 1. We can see that it's right here. So I'm going to fill out the given information for line number 1. Well, what do I mean by given information? What we would like is the given information to be the slope m and the y-intercept b. So let's look over and see if we have that. Well, I've got a little segment of a line here, and I can tell that the slope is up 1, 2, and then over 1. So my slope is -2. Okay, my y-intercept, well, it's crossing through right here at 6, so b is 6. Because of the two things I was given, I can then make my equation y equals -2x plus 6. Okay, let's hold off on domain and range for just a second. Let's try this again for line 2. So line 2, again, same thing. I'm going to go ahead and do my slope, rise of 2 over 1, so m equals 2. Y-intercept crosses at 5, so y equals 2x plus 5. Okay, keep going. Line 3, it's actually just a rise of 1 over 1, or up 2 over 2. Regardless, though, my slope is -1, the y-intercept is 4. So I turn it into an equation, y equals -x plus 4. Okay, line 4, same thing, slope is 1, y-intercept is 3, so y equals x plus 3. Line 5, my slope, going up 1 and then over 2, so this is -1/2. Y-intercept is 2, so y equals -1/2 x plus 2. Okay, now that we have all these things, we should be able to put them into Desmos and actually start putting the lines on our graph. So switch over to your Desmos screen. And if you picture my classroom right now, I'm literally walking back and forth to my computer, my board, so bear with me. Okay, so if I go back to my Desmos screen, I'm going to start typing these in. First one, line 1 was y equals, click back because I don't remember, y equals -2x plus 6. -2x plus 6. Okay, I'm looking at this trying to decide, does that look like it's in the right spot? Well, I think so. But right off the bat, we notice this thing is way too long, right? I just want a segment of this. So that brings me to the last column in this table, right? We need to give it a domain or a range. I will say, go ahead and right now, circle the word domain. That is really what we're going to focus on 99% of the time. You are actually only going to use range when it is a vux, okay? When it's a vertical line that doesn't really have a domain, okay? So we need to go back through on all of these and add in the domains. So looking at line number 1, domain is from left to right. Well, as far as this thing's going to go to the left, on my x-axis, okay, so I'm really focusing on just these x numbers down here. So the farthest that it goes to the left is 0, okay, from here to here. So from 0 to 1. So my domain is 0 to 1, okay? Number 2, I don't have to do the range. Number 2, line 2, goes from here to here. So that's from -1 to 0. Notice that all of my numbers here are going from least to greatest. You always have to have the smaller number first. Line 3, that's going from 0 to 2 this time. A little bit wider of a line. 0 to 2. Line 4 is from -2 here all the way to 0. And then finally line 5 is from 0 out to +2 again. Okay, walking back to my desk. Now we can actually use those domains to make these little lines that we're going to eventually graph shorter and actually form the pine tree. So 0 to 1 is my first domain. When you have typed in a line, and you'll learn this through the Marble Slides activity, you then need to restrict it with the domain. The way you do that is in this little keyboard, you'll click ABC, squiggly bracket, and then you'll go back and you will do the domain. So 0 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 1. Now we can see that top part of our pine tree. Okay? To make another line, you just click down below it and you do this again. So let's go back and see what our next equation was. 2x plus 5. So y equals 2x plus 5. Again, that's way too long, so I need to go put my restriction on my domain. So there's my little squiggle bracket. It was from -1, usually use minus for negative here, to 0 in this case. There's the next part of my little tree here. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Let's see. Negative x plus 4, and that's from 0 to 2. So y equals negative x plus 4. My domain is from 0 to 2. There's the next part. Next line, y equals x plus 3 from -2 to 0. Y equals x plus 3. Domain is from -2 to 0. You can see it coming together. The last line that I'm going to do with you, line 5, -1/2 x plus 2, and that's from 0 to 2. -1/2 x plus 2. When you're trying to type in a fraction, you just do the division key. So 1/2 will be 1 divided by 2. You do want to click off of that though, otherwise it's all going to be underneath that too. X plus 2. I forgot. Yep, 2. And then it's from domain from 0 to 2. Did I do something wrong? Clearly, right? That's the cool thing about Desmos is you can see instantly I did something wrong, right? This is not in the right place. All these are supposed to be coming down like pine needles, so I did something wrong. So let me go back and look. Oh, -1/2 x plus 2. There we go. Okay, so go back, click over here, and put a negative in. There we go. Voila. Okay, so you can see the beginnings of that pine tree coming together. Okay, a few things just about Desmos. If you want to change the color, you click the gear, and then you can just click this little dot right here. So if I really wanted to make this a green Christmas tree, I'd go through and make all of these green, right? You can clone a line by clicking duplicate. You can create a table, but we don't really need that. You can delete, obviously, which we don't want to do. One thing that's very important, we've gotten really used to Google Docs here in Coppell, which is great. They're amazing. I love them. I don't know what I'd do without them. But they save automatically. Desmos does not save automatically. So you have to go up here and click Save Changes every now and then so that you make sure it stays put. Okay, so I would do that now. Go ahead and pause my video, go save, make sure it stays in there because you're going to be adding to this over and over. Okay? So, yeah, so we have our first 5 lines in. Okay? If we look back at the document, you'll see that the table goes all the way down to 16 because we have 16 lines. Okay? However, what you're going to find when you're working these out, we've got M and B, M and B, M and B, M and B. We've got the slope and the y-intercept. When we get to this line right here, and of course I can't remember what I numbered it. Let me switch over here. Line 8. Line 8 does not go through the y-axis, right? Line 7 is touching y-axis right here. Line 6 is touching right here. But 8, 9, 10, 11, they're off the y-axis. Now some of y'all are thinking, it's okay, so maybe I'll just extend my line like this, right? But we want to make sure that we are doing it perfectly, and we don't want to just extend the line, okay? We also aren't always able to use our slope very well. For example, line 11 down here, it's got a slope of 2 and then -3, so -2/3. Well, if I go up 2 over 3 again, really my only option is to connect these two, and I'm not exactly sure what number that is right there, right? I know some of y'all can figure it out, but we're going to learn a formula tomorrow that will actually help us to figure out that exact number mathematically, okay? So we're going to hold off on doing 8, 9, 10, and 11, okay? Your homework tonight is to finish the table on your notes packet right here. Finish all this table, except for 8, 9, 10, and 11. You can tell they're different because they have bigger spaces here. So again, just to be clear, in case I don't say this later, this video is a little scattered. You're filling out this entire table, but skipping 8, 9, 10, and 11. Skip those 4, okay? So, one more thing I want to talk about is lines 14, 15, and 16. You'll recognize these as hoys and vuxes, right? 14 and 16, those are vertical lines, they're vuxes. 15 is horizontal, so it's a hoy, right? Well, just like we've discussed before, line 14, for example, we write that equation by doing x is equal to, because it's a Vux, x is equal to, and then whatever number it goes through, like when it hits an axis. So in this case, it would be all the way up, -1. The equation of that line would have to be x equals -1. Okay, 15, it's a hoy, right? Hoys, we know the equation is y equals a number. So in this case, it's what it goes through, -5. Okay, now for both of these, you still would have to do domain and range, right? Like in our table over here. So in this case, the hoys, you're still going to do the domain just like normal, just like we did with all the other lines. The Vuxes, however, you're actually going to do the range. That means when you type it into Desmos, okay, when you type this in, let's just go ahead and do it. X equals -1. When I go to do my range, so I'm going to do the squiggly brackets, I need to use a Y, okay? And of course, I didn't look to see what the range actually was. Give me a second. It is from -5 to -4, okay? So let me go back. -5. When I go to do this, I want to put a Y in the middle. And then I can see my little tree stump there, okay? Point is, though, you have to have a Y if you're doing range. You'll notice all these were X's because we're doing domain, but range is Y. So I just wanted to point that out. When you get to those 3 lines, they're going to be slightly different just because they're hoys and Vuxes. Where's my screen? Here we go. But you should be able to handle it. I have faith. I will say for given information here, you don't really need to do the M and the B. Honestly, what I would put here for those types is I would write the word hoy or write the word Vux, because that's my clue to you that you knew that was a horizontal line here, so the equation was y equals. Or write the word Vux, right? Whichever one applies, write that so that I know that that is what you're thinking of whenever you get a line like that. Okay? Alrighty. I think I've covered everything. So let me just summarize here on one more screen. Again, kind of do this on the fly here. Your homework. You're going to finish filling out equations for all lines except 8, 9, 10, and 11. Okay, so that's on the paper. Now, you also need to put all lines and domains, obviously, into Desmos. Okay, so when you come to school on Tuesday, you should have the most of the pine tree done. Obviously, you're going to have those 4 lines missing I told you not to do, but the rest of them should be complete. Okay, trying to think. Make sure you save your graphs as you're going, so you don't want to come back tomorrow and everything be missing. I think that's it. I hope that's it. Because I'm kind of doing this on the fly and I'm a little scatterbrained, make sure you just send me a remind text or something if you feel like I have forgotten to say something major. Okay? Oh, I do know one thing. If you finish all this in class and you're just Speedy McFly here, the sub does have an extra practice page that you can start working on. So if you finish and you have nothing else to do, then go ask the sub and they should have an extra practice page for you to work on. Alrighty? Okay, hopefully I covered everything. That was very scattered. Hopefully y'all are patient and love me through that. Okay, I'm excited to see y'all on Wednesday.